And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. I got the magic glasses on just in case, rather than me doing this all the time. Welcome to another episode of New Earth Tarot, and of course we are here in the second week, meaning that tomorrow there will be New Earth TV Live, and on Saturday we're going to have a special edition of AetherX live stream. So AetherX live stream is going to be on the AetherX YouTube channel. So let me just go ahead and pull that up now. So for the AetherX live stream on Saturday, it's going to be happening at 11 a.m. Pacific time. Just make sure you go to youtube.com/@AetherX store. Right? You can go ahead there and register. That'll be a live stream that'll be happening this Saturday. And of course, tomorrow is New Earth TV Live, so I'm looking forward to that. So before we go ahead and get started with today's broadcast, we're going to start off firstly with announcements.
The world's first spiritual rejuvenation technology in the form of modern everyday items has arrived through AetherX. AetherX offers transcendental healing products that work to detoxify, replenish, and restore you on a physical, emotional, and mental level. The Aether Bed Kit takes the form of a powerful rejuvenation technology that utilizes your own life force energy to restore organs, glands, bodily systems, the energy system, and replenish emotional and mental well-being. The AetherX card decks, the healing code cards, eliminate and detoxify physical, emotional, and mental conflicts within the body. 44 beautifully designed geometrical cards specifically designed to work on the major areas of the body, encouraging natural recovery and increased vitality. The Healing Code cards come in 3 different themes: the body, mind, and energy decks, each with their own specific design to renew and rejuvenate the body. AetherX apparel and accessories that offer comfortable attire and beautiful geometrical and image designs to detoxify, strengthen, and rejuvenate the body. Download our collection of free sample images and cards from our website so that you can witness the benefits of AetherX spiritual technology for yourself. Visit our website now at etherx.co and begin your rejuvenation journey with us.
And of course, this Sunday, we have the next ADRONIS transmissions. Now, this is, of course, the wrong date, but nonetheless, this coming Sunday, another episode of Transmissions from ADRONIS is going to be happening. So that is on April 2nd. It will be at 11 a.m. Pacific time. I'm going to give much more of an update to it tomorrow. After the recording today, I'll have the proper Zoom link on the... actually, no, I think you can already look at the Zoom link already because they are consecutive. So you can actually just use the Zoom link that's in the video description now, and you can sign up from Transmissions from ADRONIS. Again, another free Zoom webinar where, again, you can ask questions to him. Live attendees on Zoom will be able to ask him questions. So again, we're going to have another exciting episode of Transmissions from ADRONIS this Sunday. So today, tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday, all live stream events. Going to be really, really exciting. It's going to be a quadruple header this week. And of course, distance healing by donation. 1-to-1 private sessions and 3-question private email sessions are available. If you do want to communicate with ADRONIS, then that is through private sessions. Again, tarot readings and higher self communication is also available through private sessions and 3-question sessions by email. And of course, distance healing is by donation. So you can check that out at newearthteachings.com. And of course, everything on this YouTube channel is backed up onto Odyssey. So you can go to odyssey.com/@newearthteachings. The link is in the video description. Okay, and so tomorrow I'll be giving some more updates on AetherX because there are going to be some new products coming out for AetherX. We're going to have some pet products. So we're going to have like pet hoodies, we're going to have pet shirts, we're going to have pet collars. We're also going to have a pet bed that'll be available. And we're also going to have footwear. So we're going to have shoes, sandals, flip-flops, and slippers that are going to be available on AetherX. So more on that is going to happen on the weekend, on Saturday, when I do AetherX live stream. But there will be some announcements to it tomorrow when I do New Earth TV Live. So anyways, I hope you're all doing well. Thank you. It's good to see you all here today. So we are going to go through the questions. Again, if you do have a question that you want to make priority, just go into the YouTube super chat. You can leave a donation. Just remember that when you're leaving your donation, make sure you type in your question along with your donation. That just makes it easier for me to find your question. Okay. So if you do want to be first in line, feel free to use a donation on YouTube super chat. Otherwise, I'll just be going from the top down through the chat and seeing what questions we have. And we'll be doing some tarot readings on the questions that are being posted here on the chat. So we'll start off firstly with NP. NP has a question here. Hi Brad, can ADRONIS tell us what is a good pH for the body? Some say alkaline, others say acidity. Okay, it's a very good question. So we're starting off with ADRONIS right off the bat. So again, guys, yes, if you do have questions for ADRONIS, you can feel free to share it because he will come in. Again, I forgot to mention, please make sure that there's no personal questions, okay? Just general questions or semi-personal questions for the chat, all right? So I'll bring ADRONIS in and he can talk about pH, about the level of the good pH for the body. And he'll share some insight on that. So just give me a moment now as I tune in and we'll get started. Terra Soul Star CDS ADRONIS. We are here. At this time, we bid you greetings, and thank you very much for the opportunity of this interaction today. I am ADRONIS of Sirius, sending love, appreciation, and gratitude to all who are tuning into this broadcast through your internet collective consciousness. We thank you very much to NP for the question regarding the natural alignment to pH in the body, where there is too much alkalinity or where there is too much acidity. Well, again, this is correct. You want to make sure that there is a fine balance between the two. You are not looking to have overages. So it is the idea, mostly, that when you are looking to investigate the pH within your body, some of you may work with your saliva, some will even work with urine, pertaining to the nature of pH. But we feel that the most effective way to measure your pH is through blood, rather than the idea of urine or saliva. These can be somewhat effective, but they are not really potent enough to get much more of a deeper understanding relating to the pH within your body. Now, we're not saying for you to have too much alkaline, and we're not saying for you to have too much acidity. It really is just all based upon the idea of meeting it together in the middle. Because you have to understand that there are essential areas within your body that do require acidity for the body to function properly. Whereas there is also essential areas in the body that require more alkaline to function appropriately in the body. So we would recommend the idea that it is in the middle point of that scale. We're not going to elaborate too much on the idea of your pH scale, but really when you have a scale that is noticeable based upon the system that you're using, whether it be through saliva, whether it be through urine, or again through our recommendation of working together with the blood, you want to keep it more closer to the middle. So it's not about having an overage of too much alkaline. It's not about having an overage of too much acidity. You have to understand that your body requires both. So it's not the idea of saying that you just need to completely alkaline your system. That would be a myth. Now, if you discover that there's a great deal of acidity in your body, much more than there should be, then that's when you're reinforcing with a little bit more alkaline, such as utilizing the idea of alkaline water that can assist. But remember that water is meant for the purposes of irrigation. And so what it's doing is it's basically irrigating your system. It's flushing out toxins as well too. And so alkaline will absorb based upon the quality of the water that you have. We would suggest mineralization much more than the idea of just working with the nature of alkaline water. So alkaline water is efficient, but much more efficient is actually working together with essential minerals that your body requires. When you're looking at phosphorus, when you're looking at sodium, when you're looking at potassium, when you're looking at magnesium, and so forth. These, again, are essential minerals that assist in the natural balancing of your body. So you can use alkaline water if you want. If you decide, again, you're bringing too much alkaline into your system through your test, then you can have a little bit more acidic-based compound with your water. But in that sense, what that really just means is just cutting back a little bit more on the trace minerals or the mineralization of the body, because you're already getting too much. If you're getting too much mineralization, this can relate to the idea of the nature of bloating in certain ways. This can also represent the idea of fluidic pockets happening within the body. So where there's fluid buildup in that sense, that can represent a little too much mineralization, or in that sense, even a little too much sodium. When you're noticing in that sense that there is a decreasing of the essential balancing of alkaline, this is what comes together with sluggishness. This is what comes together often with headaches. This often comes in the idea of nature of dehydration. This can also relate to skin irritation, such as eczema or psoriasis, rashes of certain degrees as well too. The body feels very sluggish, it feels very stagnant, and that's often where you have much more of an acidic buildup. In fact, many of the processed foods that you commonly consume have very high acidic compounds, and that's what's actually causing a lot of sluggishness. That's also what's causing, in that sense, stagnancy within the functioning of the organs as well too. It is very important about being aware of what you are putting into your body commonly. So whether you decide to utilize the idea of alkaline water, which you can if you wish, but again, it really just comes down to mineralization. Checking the efficiency of the pH relating to your body would best be formed through the nature of blood samples, rather than the idea of urine or through the nature of saliva. So that is our general recommendation here, having the idea of appropriate minerals within your daily intake so that you are monitoring your body and therefore noticing that it's a fine line, it's a fine balance between the alkaline and acidic levels because of mineralization in the body. That really is the key. We thank you very much for your question. Okay, great. Very good. Thank you, NP, for your question. Let's go ahead and move on. Okay. So this one here is from Darling. Darling says, Brad, can the cards tell us when the new financial system will finally take effect? Okay, so let's see if we can phrase that into a tarot question. So looking into the financial system, and when will it fully come into effect? Okay, so we'll take a look at that. And we're only kind of looking at approximations here, nothing definite, especially with the tarot. It only gives us approximations. So we'll take a look at that. So we're just looking for the new financial system to come online and when it will fully take effect. Let's see what the cards have to say. Okay. Well, as I've talked about, I feel like the end of 2023 is going to be a very big benchmark for it. I can't say if that's when it's going to fully take effect, but it's starting to move in that direction a little bit more. So there's still some maturing that needs to take place. It's kind of like here we are, you know, as a little kid, it's kind of like, okay, son, you have to learn how to manage a dollar. You have to learn how to manage your money in that way. When you start to manage it a little bit more, then we'll get a lot more for you. So it's kind of like looking at that there's kind of a maturity cycle that's taking place right now. There's a need for a maturity cycle. It's taking place is kind of where we are right now, right? But yes, things are going to start flipping. Things are going to start moving in that direction. So just as I've talked about in previous weeks, that we're starting to see the signs of this new financial system looking to come together. So basically everything pertaining to fiat currency needs to go. So it's basically an implosion. What's coming to an end is the corrupt version of fiat currency. That's looking to basically subside. That's looking to fall away altogether. There's basically looking to be a marriage relating to the idea of the new financial system. It's coming, an integration between the banks of the world, the financial institutions of the world, and this new financial system. So like I said, it has been around for quite some time. It's already available. It's already basically ready to roll out. The whole idea is timing. It's making sure that as the old falls, the new rises up with it. So right now, it's kind of a waiting game. It's a bit of a processing time right now. But like I said, we kind of see this hidden sword here in the background. And so we're giving the intention right now that there is progress that's taking place. It's not quite ready to roll out yet, but it certainly is getting into that. All right? So it's basically in the sense that things are starting to move into much more of a beneficial direction. But for us to actually go into the financial system altogether, the new financial system, we have to start moving away from this old one. And that's not something that we have to do through our own power relating to physical action. But basically letting the cards fall as they may, letting the chips drop as they may, and moving into a grander time. So it feels like it's around the corner. It does feel like it could be around late 2023. Okay, I can't guarantee that though. What I've always seen is really just it's going to start rolling out a lot more. It's going to become a lot more prominent around the later part of the year, but don't take my word on that because everything can change, right? But it feels like as we get more into late 2023, this will be much more of the positive direction to rolling out a new financial system. As I've talked before, months back, that you're talking to your banks and you can just ask them about a new financial system. Is there a new financial system that's looking to come out, and are you guys prepared with new systems that are in place with the bank? Some people have said yes, my bank has told me that they are prepared for such things. Some says no, I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, so it can be kind of a mixed bag with that. So it still is a bit of a progression relating to this new financial system, but it's basically looking to end the fiat. I think before it needs to fully roll out, before it can fully roll out, everything relating to secrecy, scandals, what the financial system of current level is doing, a lot more exposures with that, right? There needs to be more of a falling away with that. As there's more of a falling away, this introduces the opportunity for a new financial system to come together. But I feel it's going to be like a thief in the night. I don't feel like people are even going to be aware that a new financial system is coming, because you may notice that there may be new marked bills, there may be new banknotes coming together. It may also represent digital currency that may come out as well too. So I think it's going to operate, as I've always said, financial systems rather than a financial system, but it's basically falling under a new financial umbrella. So it's still a work in progress. It's still happening. I feel like something could happen as we get later into 2023. So that's kind of what I felt when I did the sharing of it at the early point of the year. So coming into full effect, right? We have to kind of see. I don't really have an answer for a full effect, but in the idea where it's starting to peak and where it's going to start moving into the mainstream, I feel like we can probably see that around late 2023. Okay. Thank you for your question. Okay. Okay. I know Samar has a question here about an individual, Amrit Pal Singh, reformist from Punjab. Even though I know you don't give readings on individual people, but this could help many people here. Okay, I guess you're just wondering about his integrity, maybe, if that's the question. I'm not too sure what you mean by getting a reading. Okay, maybe just looking at his integrity, looking at him much more on a professional level. Okay, because that's true. I don't really like to look at people personally. That's just not something I appreciate doing, but if we're looking at him on a professional level, right, and basically what he may represent, then I'm pretty sure we can do that. All right, so let's take a look at Amrit Pal Singh and just what he's about on a professional level. Okay, if he's genuinely behind what he talks about as a reformist from Punjab. Okay, let's take a look. I'm getting similar cards here, but like the last reading. Okay. Well, again, guys, you have to be careful with politicians, right? So like I've said, with all politicians, and I'm not just talking about Canadians, I'm not just talking about Americans, I'm not just talking about the English or anything like that, right? I'm talking about politicians in general. They will make you the sweetest promises in any way possible to try to get elected. And I don't think this guy is quite mature yet, okay? I feel like he's not even a spring chicken yet, okay? So to me, it feels like he's still maybe giving false promises, giving empty promises, right? I'm thinking in regards to, is he true to his word? I think he wants to share things. I think he does want to basically bring out things that he could reform, okay? But I don't think he really has the power to do it. Right, I think he wants one thing, but then, right, the people in charge say no. Okay, And I think a lot of the stuff that he wants to do isn't going to fly, but he still may try to make those empty promises. Okay, that's not to say that he's a bad guy. I think that he generally does want the idea of certain things to fall together, but he isn't the guy in charge, right? There's an entire system. It's a political system, right? So this is why I say that even politicians that do want to see change in that sense, they have to see the idea that this whole system just doesn't work, guys. I'm sorry. You can't make politics work. It just doesn't work. Okay? So I know you're going to have good people. And then don't get me wrong, there may be some people in politics who are truly good people, who do want to help out, but even as soon as they do, they're going to get slandered. Okay? They're going to get the skeleton in the closet routine. Now, I don't think this guy is a bad guy. I think he does have some general wanting to make things better. But like I said, he's kind of he's not even really a spring chicken yet. Right? I think there's some things that he needs to work on altogether. Right? He certainly needs to kind of win more of the trust of the people. But right now, his hands are kind of tied. And again, guys, I'm just giving my honest perspective here. You got to get out of the faith of politicians. Okay? You got to get out of the political arenas and thinking that that's going to be your saving grace to turn things around, because it's not. Right? I've mentioned this before. Okay? I know you guys love politics. I know you guys love politicians. Thinking that your beloved politicians are going to save you and change everything around. They're not. What's going to change everything around? The people. Okay? People are going to change things around. The common man, woman, and child are going to change things around. Because when you come together in that form of unity, that's what's going to make great progress. That's why we're moving into the progress that we are, because people are coming together. Right? I've talked about soul tribes, but this is just the idea of the collective itself. I'm sorry, guys. The answer is not in your politicians. It's not. Right? And I have to keep saying that every single week, because I'm only telling you guys the truth. Okay? I know so many people want to put their faith in Trump, and they want to put their faith in all these leaders that they feel they're able to get behind, but those leaders are just puppets. They're playing a game. They have people they have to answer to. They're not the sovereign above all, right? They have other handlers above them that are really calling the shots. The people that are truly in charge are not on television. They are not in front of the scenes. Okay? So basically, when you start getting together, you start working together, when the people start working together, and when you're seeing independence come together, because where independence is going to come together is going to be the falling away of these old systems. Okay? The falling away of the political arena. People aren't going to trust them. I'm sorry, guys. People aren't trusting the government anymore. And we're still putting faith in the government. They think, oh, we'll just get a good leader. We'll just get a good leader. It's not to say we won't get transitional government. We won't get transitional leadership, yes. But that's all part of a handicap in a way to move into something greater. Okay? We want independence. Okay? You want independent provinces. You want independent states. You want independent countries. That is what's going to bring you into a much greater prosperity. You want a republic. Okay? You don't want a democracy. You don't want a dictatorship. You don't want communism. You don't want socialism. You don't want any of that stuff. You want a republic. You want independence. That's what's going to move you in the right direction. A politician is not going to do that. The entire political arena, as it is run right now, needs to fall. I know some people don't like to hear that. Like, no, Brad, all we need is a good leader. We just need a good leader. No. Won't work. Okay? Look at how many times so many people throughout history have gone to the voting booths, voted for these leaders, acting like they actually have say about who's going to actually come into power. You guys don't have say when it comes to that political arena. It's orchestrated. I shouldn't even have to tell you this, guys. You should already know this by now. This is nothing but an orchestrated soap opera. Okay? It's not about a person genuinely getting into office. Nobody has ever genuinely gotten into an office. Okay? It's always been staged. It's always been a play. It's always been a soap opera. It's always been a movie. Okay? It has never been the idea of someone genuinely getting in, especially not in the past few decades. Okay? It's always been a soap opera, and that's pretty much for every country. You can say that for pretty much every country. people keep falling for it. Okay? No offense, guys, but it's complete and total ignorance if you think that a good leader is going to come into office and save your butts. Okay? That is buying into the soap opera. That's buying into the movie magic of the political arena. The political arena has to go. It has to die so that something new can take its place where there is independence. And that will happen when you get more of the corrupt out of their authoritative positions, which is taking place right now. That's what the counterforces are all about. Right? So there needs to be a movement much more into the idea of independence and a republic. If that happens, that's where things are going to come together, because there will be things that might be much more ethical. There will be things that will be much more prosperous. There will be much more of the idea of local banking. There will be much more of the idea of local leadership, right? That's where things need to go. So I'm sorry, guys, it doesn't matter who you pick in the office. They still have to answer to the big man upstairs, right? And those big men and women upstairs need to go. Once they go, there is a new appointing here. And so I think what we'll do right now is we'll look into a reading relating to independence. What is the momentum ahead that is going to lead many countries into the state of independence? Okay, so that's basically what I'm going to ask through the next reading, is looking into the idea of what is the momentum ahead that will lead many countries into the form of independence or a republic. Okay, let's take a look at that. Okay, well, first off the bat, the tarot is completely agreeing with what I'm saying. So yes, you need an independence. You need a republic. That's what's going to make things so much better. Okay, these two cards right off the bat is saying that. Yes, you need to go independent. You need a republic. That's what's going to change everything around, right? This is what's going to bring about great celebration, right? So this is representing the past. So I feel it's like the people taking their power back. I think that there's going to be naturally elected officials that are not going to go under any particular political arena. Things are going to have to really shake up. Things are really going to have to change, okay? But right now, it's a matter of the people getting together, right? Because we still feel that we're divided. We're still feeling that we're in a bind together. We need to get off this bickering. We need to get off this idea of feeling that we need to be against each other's throats, okay? And basically it says it's kind of a work in progress, right? We're still kind of a few steps behind going into the nature of independence, but that's basically where it needs to be. The entire political arena needs to be exposed. And this is what I've said that 2020s really represent. It's an exposure decade. It's a cleanup decade. Okay, it's a transitional decade because people are looking, well, do I vote for this leader? Do I vote for that leader? Should I go with this leader? What about this leader here? What about this guy here? What about this guy here? What about this guy here? What about this system here? What about this system here, right? We're just ultimately confused. As long as we're ultimately confused, this is what's going to cause problems in our ability to move further, right? So like I said, there will be transitional government taking place, and that's kind of like a proxy that's going to move into something better. As much as we would love to see the idea of independence coming right away, no, people have to see the corruption on much deeper levels. 2023 is kind of a more of a graceful year. When we get to 2024, we may start to see more things heating up, right? There are levels and piles and piles and piles and piles of corruption, right? We got to dig into each and every single one of them. And that exposure needs to come in very strongly. It's going to make a lot of people upset, but at the same time, it needs to happen because people need to get out of this funk of feeling that politicians are the answer to our ability to change our own natural systems. They're not. They're completely overrated. Okay? The only thing politicians know how to do is make bills and declare war. How is that going to help us evolve? It's not. Okay? Politicians generally are useless. Okay? They're good at making bills and they're good at declaring war. That's about it. So why in the heck do we put so much faith in them? I'll create an executive order. I'll create this bill. I'll declare war on this country. I'll do this, I'll do that. It's not the answer, guys. It's not the way at all. It's not about writing all these bills into law and think, oh, okay, by the way, now we're independent. No, that entire system needs to go because the system that we have right now are the handcuffs that are preventing you from being an independent state, an independent province, an independent country. The very political arena that we are standing in right now is preventing that from happening. It needs to go. Okay? So transitional leadership, yes. Transitional government, yes. This all needs to happen. It's all part of the natural process. But there needs to be more exposure relating to these things. So just going back to Samar's question, it feels like this guy has a good heart, but I don't think he's ready for the leadership in that way because, again, he still has to answer to the big guys upstairs. Okay? That's the problem with politics. They are not the ones in charge. They're stooges taking orders, right? It's the bad B movie of planet Earth. I know so many people are hooked up into politicians, and I can only share what I share. It's up to you guys to really see this for yourselves, right? Okay, let's go ahead and move on. Okay, Mary Gilling asks, hi Brad, what is the Starlink system? Those are those Starlink satellites that supposedly Elon Musk has put together, but it's not even really with him. He's not even really in charge of it. He's just basically the figurehead that has claimed to put the Starlink satellites up together, but a lot of them are alliance run or counterforce run, right? And there's a whole big chain of them, and they can also be used for spy satellites, and they have different forms of capabilities to them all together, right? Kind of a nutshell relating to the Starlink system, but they're not really owned by Elon Musk. That's a cover. We can even look into that right now. Let's say, is Elon Musk fully responsible for the Starlink satellites? Okay, let's take a look. Is he the guy who's calling the shots pertaining to the Starlink satellites? This card keeps coming up all the time today. Wow, look at that. Here's the same card again. No, he's definitely not the guy who's calling the shots, okay? Relating to the Starlink satellites, it is under someone else's responsibility, okay? So I just gave the cards a good shuffle, and these two cards, again, are coming up. These cards are coming up quite a bit today. He's not the guy. Right? So basically it's under other jurisdiction, okay? And they're being used for other purposes as well too. So it's not just the idea of internet or anything of that nature, okay? So we have Leo and Mars. This is being used for intelligence. This is being used for defense systems as well too. Elon Musk is not the head honcho of that. He's just the figurehead. He's the guy on paper. Oh yeah, sure, it's Elon Musk's idea. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Oh yeah, sure, he invented it. Okay, sure. No, guys, he hasn't really invented anything. He's not even the real Elon Musk. Okay. The real Elon Musk passed away quite some time ago. This is nothing but an avatar, okay? The real Elon Musk was actually a balding guy, right? He's not here anymore. He has nothing but his doppelganger that's left. The Elon Musk that you see is not the real Elon Musk. He was basically a duplicate. It's basically a doppelganger that once went onto the side of the dark forces and is now moving much more into the alliance because his avatar got taken over, okay? So he is not the guy at all calling the shots. Other people are calling the shots here, okay? And again, Starlink is being used for other things. It's being used for intelligence gathering. It's being used for defensive mechanisms as well too. So there's a lot of different hats that it wears relating to it. But he definitely has not invented it. He certainly is not the head honcho in charge of it. It's much more for the intelligence community, you could say. Intelligence complex, I'll refer to it in that way. Okay. He's just a guy on paper. He's nothing but a puppet. He's nothing but a figurehead. He hasn't done anything with Tesla. Okay, it's not his technology. He hasn't done anything in regards to anything that he claims he owns. He doesn't really own these things. It's just him on paper. Okay, he's nothing but a stooge. Okay, he does not own anything. He's not inventive at all. Right? He's just the doppelganger of someone who was once known as Elon Musk, who is a little more intelligent. Okay, it's basically what I can say regarding him. So everything that he claims he owns, that's just on paper to accommodate the front of the scenes picture of him. But no, he hasn't really invented anything. Right? I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people that are out there that are always saying the same things. Guys, he hasn't invented anything. Right? This guy's not an inventor. He's not intelligent enough to invent anything. He's a spokesperson. He's a public figure. He hasn't invented a single damn thing. Okay? And I'm talking about the current avatar known as Elon Musk. Okay? Elon Musk version 2. Maybe that's the best way to call him. Okay, so thank you for your question, Mary. So we got a couple of donations here. So I got one here from Dare, and I got another one here from Layla. So I think I'll start off with Dare first. Dare first says, "Hi Brad, you mentioned XRP as an investment in earlier sessions. Can you give an update?" Okay. A lot of people are moving into that from what I've talked to. People I've talked to as well too who are interested in cryptocurrency are moving towards XRP. I think I've talked about that before. Okay, one of the other donations just disappeared, so I'll have to look for that on the chat afterwards. Remind me of that, guys, in case I forget. But Layla, I'll get to your question here shortly. So basically just how the update with XRP is. How is XRP going? All right, let's take a look. If I get that other card again, jeez. Okay, it's a different card this time. All right. It's something for the future, okay? Right now, presently, it's still kind of just looking to get off the ground. So like I said, I feel like this was once a dark cabal institution relating to XRP. I think they once had it, okay? But it feels like it's been seized by the counter forces and they're putting it to better use, okay? So the past is they had other plans for it, probably to distribute it in that sense, using it as some form of corrupt digital currency in that way. But that plan had died away. It's gone, and so it's under new forms of ownership and administration. And so it's going to be picking up some steam here, I'd say maybe over the next couple of months, right? So maybe 2 to 5 months, around there, give or take, okay? So if that's something you guys want to invest in, certainly. I think it's something that could, in time, move up to a higher level, okay? Cryptocurrencies, though, just as a general nature, are still a little bit risky, right? Because they're not even a tangible thing, okay? I know people like cryptocurrency. I've even invested in cryptocurrency in the past as well too. But at the same time, it's something that digitally exists, right? And that's something also that people need to be aware of. If you want to get involved with it, go for it, okay? But just letting you know that this is something that's digital and it is something that does not have substance to it, right? And so basically if we have anything that goes down pertaining to technology, then you're not going to have access to that. So that's just something to be aware of at the same time. I'm not saying that cryptocurrency is bad in any way, but you have to understand that it's not solid, it's not physical, right? It's very much digital. So just be aware of that. And some of you may want to invest in things that are a little bit more tangible. Maybe that's silver, right? Maybe that's food, whatever it may be. But as far as XRP goes, yes, it's more for the future. So maybe in the next few months it'll start to pick up more steam. Again, more people are finding interest in it. So I'd say it's really up to you guys. But yes, it does feel like it has a bit of a bright future ahead. Okay? Thank you for your question, Dare. Okay, let's go down to the next question here from Layla. Thank you for your donation, Layla. Okay. Layla has a very interesting question here. Will a tattooed AetherX pattern work on the body? I would have to put codes into it, okay? You basically can't just take a picture of it and put it on a tattoo and think you have the codes. It doesn't work that way, okay? So basically what you would need to do, let's say for example if you have the AetherX logo here, okay? I want to put the AetherX logo on my arm. Oh, aren't you sweet? That's a nice compliment. But it won't have codes in it, okay? So even if you took a picture of the bed and you wanted to put that as a tattoo, okay, but it wouldn't have codes in it, okay? So the codes work specifically for the material item that it is printed on. It is specifically designed for those particular types of bed sheets. It is specifically designed for those types of pillowcases and duvet cover, okay? It's designed for that. If it's not on that, it won't work, okay? So you would have to come to me, and maybe it's any design, right? You would have to come to me and say, okay, Brad, I put this design back here, on top, I put it on my chest, for example, all right? And if I take a picture there, or Brad, would you be able to put some codes in it? Well, that would take some time, so I'd probably have to charge you because that would take quite a bit of my time to do that. But in the short, yes, I'm not offering that as a service right now. So what I'd recommend, Layla, don't do that, unless you're okay with just having this symbol on your body right now. I'm not offering the idea of people taking pictures of their tattoos and sending me some, Brad, can you encode it? So that's not the service I'm offering right now, okay? I'm offering what I'm offering through AetherX. I could offer a service like that, I just don't have the time. I got so much other work I have to do. I'm still doing sessions, I'm still doing distance healing, 3-question sessions as well too. I'm doing these webcasts, I'm running a company. So I'm very, very busy. So even though I'm saying, yes, I could enchant those particular forms of symbols on your body, I am not offering that as a service. Okay? But I'm just saying, Layla, if you wanted to have those codes, you would need to come to me. And I would have to enchant those upon your body, because right now they're imbued into the appropriate material items that are available. Okay? It's the best way I can put it. So that prevents anything from tampering with them in that way. People can't just take pictures of this and then start trying to tamper with it and make it their own. That's kind of the protection that the codes have altogether. So even if you take a picture of it and you try to put it on another item, if I have not imbued that, it won't work. Okay? So that's the beauty of AetherX, is that I put these into the items that they need to be put on, and they can't be stolen. They can't be misused, right? All of those things. So it's all meant for kind of a protection thing. So a person's not trying to take a picture and then try to scam other people. So, oh, this is AetherX, when it's not AetherX, right? So it's kind of a defense mechanism for that. So that would be the short answer, or a long answer, I would say, to your question. But a very good question, okay? Thank you, Lynn. If you love the designs, go for it. Put it on your body if you want. But again, I'm just not imbuing them onto people's bodies right now. Maybe in the future, we'll see if I have more time. But right now, I mean, AetherX is just rolling out. We're a little over 2 months old, right? We're still an infant right now. So, I mean, this entire year really needs my attention for that company. And maybe in the next little while, maybe I'll offer imbuing services. But please don't come to me right now. So, oh, Brad, I got this tattoo. Can you imbue it? Oh, Brad, I got this tattoo. Can you imbue it? Oh, Brad, I got this thing on my wall. Can you imbue it? My answer would be no. Okay. I'm just not doing that right now. I just don't have the time. I'm rolling out new products with AetherX, and I'm doing all these other things as well too. But if I do decide to do that in the future, I will certainly let everybody know. Okay. But right now, I'm not doing that. All right. Thank you, Leda, for your question. All right, let's go down the list. And it's a very good question as well. I appreciate it. I know you guys are probably very helpful. Brad can imbue my tattoo and stuff like that. Maybe in the future. We'll see. We'll see. But I have no plans of doing that right now. Okay. Yeah, Danny here says electric vehicles were invented over 100 years ago. Yeah, absolutely. There's old pictures of people having all these batteries on their cars and getting charged, right? Electric vehicles are not anything new. In fact, I think the electric vehicles back then were a lot more cleaner than what they have right now. So, because the EVs that they have right now are pretty much absolute garbage. This is from BB. BB says, hi Brad, is the veil thinning at the moment? If so, what can we experience? Okay, so BB, thank you for your donation. Is the veil thinning at the moment? Well, I've talked about this before, okay, so I don't really need to do a reading on this. The veil is thinning. That's why we have a lot more access to, when we start to go into our inner states, there's a lot more access availability. It's because the Earth is being charged, right? She's being charged up. Her energy right now is so incredibly potent, okay? So with the potency that the Earth is charging through herself, because like I said, the sun is assisting her with that. The sun is not hurting the Earth. The sun is charging her up, okay? As she gets more charged, we're seeing a lot more veils being dropped. As these veils are being dropped, we're now realizing a lot of secrets that we didn't know were there before. So a lot of veils are falling away. Yes, this is exactly why we're going through the immense amount of change on the planet right now. This is why we're seeing all these old things fall away, and we're going to see new things take its place. It's all part that the Earth is charging herself up so fundamentally right now that a lot of these things that required the loss of momentum is now getting all this momentum charge, and all of these lies are falling away. This is why we're being a very investigative community. This is why the collective is being a lot more introspective and investigating and holding accountability and all that stuff, because we're discovering all these secrets that have been buried for a long time. And as the Earth is charging herself up, gaining momentum and inertia, then all of these things pertaining to secrecy is falling away. So we could most definitely say, yes, the veil is thinning, right? It's basically just a veil of ignorance, right? If it was this thick, it's turning into about this right now, okay? And people who have lived in that type of ignorance for quite some time aren't used to the type of changes that are coming about. All seeing these changes taking place, they're starting to panic, because this is what they've relied upon for them to live their lives, often through this veil of ignorance. But as this veil of ignorance throughout the Earth is starting to thin, and all these things are heating up and time is speeding up, it feels like you live a day and it feels like it's a couple hours long, okay? All of these things are immensely changing. It's very much like what the Mayans were talking about with 2012. 2012 represented the end of time. In a way, that's true, because around that time is where everything started to speed up so much quickly. We don't even really bind ourselves to time anymore. It's all about events. It's all about sequence. It's about everything happening very, very quickly because we're moving into our own presence, right? So that's really an example of what we're experiencing. Acceleration of the day, acceleration of the time, because we're living much more in the moment. We're going through our experiences. We're shifting ourselves tremendously. We're seeing the earth charging. We're seeing these old things falling away. We're seeing change coming together. We're seeing scandals. We're seeing secrecies being exposed. We're seeing new systems coming together. We're seeing new technologies coming together. The quantum leap in regards to the type of technologies that we have is also an indication of this great type of shift. Okay? Just look around you. Look around how much everything is changing. Okay? That's the indication that the veil itself is thinning, because the earth is being charged up. Okay? And through all this stuff that's been like stagnant debris is now starting to thin away. And secrets are being revealed. It's the time where secrecy is no longer secrecy. Everything is becoming a lot more transparent. So that too is an indication of the veil thinning and what you're experiencing out of it. Okay? Thank you, BB, for your question. Okay. Yeah, Sensei basically says it quite simply here. Elon is just a puppet. Yes, guys, pretty much everybody that you see in front of the scenes, it's basically these billionaires and that stuff, they're really just puppets, right? They're the go-to people. They're the figureheads, okay, of certain companies, of certain corporations and all that stuff, right? So you look at someone like Elon Musk, even look at Jeff Bezos and all that stuff. Guy really doesn't do anything either, right? He's a good businessman, but in fact, with all the people that's around him, that's what's made him a success. It's the people behind him rather than him himself, okay? So there's always go-to people. Don't even get me started on Bill Gates. That guy didn't do a damn thing other than corrupting people, right? And that's why I refer to him in the past tense, because he's no longer here anymore. Okay, let's go here down further a bit more. Okay, here's one here from Carol Ann. Carol Ann says, "Hi Brad, I have a question regarding the platonic solids." Okay, I'm not sure who this person is here. 1 second here, guys. Okay. There's some person named Radhika, and it was basically just spamming the chat like crazy, and she came here last week as well too. So we're just clearing away the spammers, the trolls. Okay. That almost sounds like some dark cabal stuff of what she was doing. So anyways, let's get back to Carol Ann's question here. Carol Ann says, "Hi Brad, I have a question regarding the platonic solids. Do you have to meditate on just one symbol or all of them? Thank you." Well, basically it's when you're meditating. Let's say, for example, that you have a poster in front of you, okay? And you have, let's say, the 5 platonic solids, okay? So you have a cube, you have a tetrahedron, you have an octahedron, you have an icosahedron, you have a dodecahedron. Even this, what you see back here, represents that of the platonic solids, okay? It's not about the idea of feeling that you need to focus on all 5 objects at the same time. What I would suggest is just working. It's kind of like you're just kind of fixing your gaze. It's not like you're trying to stare at every single one and look at its intricacies and get lost in the object itself. It's kind of like you want to keep your vision loose, right? You're focusing in a way, but you're just keeping your gaze open. Now this again goes back into ancient Egypt, is that they would take people into these chambers and they would have platonic solids on the walls. So they'd have a multitude of them all around the walls. And the person would basically just kind of loosely fix their gaze. I'd say rather than have like loose gaze, just kind of looking forward. Do you remember how I taught you guys about Hakalau? Okay, where you have your index fingers here at the edge of your peripherals. All right, then basically that's what you're doing here. Is like you're kind of just taking in the entire space of the room. So let's say I have a platonic solid here, 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 here. Okay, so I could have a multitude of them if I want to. But I'm just kind of fixing my gaze forward while I'm also being aware of all of the platonic solids that are around me. Okay? Now, if you want to do one at a time, you can certainly do one at a time. But if you want to utilize that in kind of an immersion experience, because that was the nature of the chamber that they would use in ancient Egypt, it would be an immersive environment relating to that person who would get healed with the platonic solids. Okay, now here's a secret that I'm going to reveal. The next bed that is coming, okay, I'm basically going to give new names to the two beds that are on AetherX. Okay, the first bed that you guys would know would commonly be referred to as the Ether Bed Kit. Effective April 15th, it's not going to be called the Ether Bed Kit. It's going to be called the Prana Bed, okay? Because that is all about healing with your prana. That's working with your solar plexus energy, okay? And that's healing your body. The second bed that is coming, the one that's cotton, okay, that is going to be referred to as the Taurus Bed. So that's Taurus, okay, the Taurus Bed. And that will basically just accompany it with like a duvet cover or a blanket and a couple of pillowcases. Okay, very, very simple. Now here's the good news. The prana bed and the Taurus bed are meant to work together. Okay, so you're not looking at, okay, I need to have the version 1, then I need to have the version 2. No. It's the idea that they both work together. Like if we have the version 2 bed, then I guess I can get rid of the version 1. No. I'm not saying for you to get rid of the version 1, because they're going to be designed to work together. So you would have a version 1 and a version 2, or in this case, not really even a version 1 and version 2, because they're two entirely different types of beds. Okay, so the prana bed works with your solar plexus. Okay, the Taurus bed doesn't work with the life force energy of your solar plexus. Okay, what it works with is the source point. It works with the source point that is the center of everything. One could say it's source consciousness, but it plugs into the solar plexus. It acts as a gateway. So the solar plexus is basically the gateway for the Taurus bed. So even if you have both beds, with the prana bed, the solar plexus is being used for the life energy. Okay? With the Taurus bed, the solar plexus is still being utilized, but it's not working with its own life force energy. It's basically being used as a gateway. And that is actually what's working to discharge all toxins on a cellular level from your body. The goal of the Taurus bed is to completely discharge everything representing toxic cells. Once they are fully discharged, then it charges the cell, bringing everything back into its natural toroidal shape of geometry. And this is where it's profound. So it's actually good when you have both beds. When you have the prana bed and you have the Taurus bed. But even if you just have the prana bed by itself, great, it's going to work great. And if you even have the Taurus bed by itself, great, it's going to work great. Okay? But they're meant to work together in complement. Okay? So you may just say, for example, that I have the sheet of the prana bed on my bed, and I have two pillowcases. Okay, one pillow I might use for the Taurus bed, and the other one I might use for the prana bed. You can do that as well too. Okay? And I may have the duvet cover of the prana bed, I may have the duvet cover of the Taurus bed, and that works as well too. Okay, so they're available to work in complement with each other. But basically, the point I'm trying to make is that with the Taurus bed, is that this actually involves the platonic solids. Okay, when your cells are being charged, it's using the essence of the platonic solids, all 5 of them, to come into the cell to bring it back into harmony. So the goal of the Taurus bed is to completely repair the body on a deep cellular level, so that every particular form of injury, ailment, karma, akashic, debris, anything of that nature is being scrubbed clean. So it starts off with 2 cycles. Now there's not multiple modes with the Taurus bed, there's only one mode. It's activation mode, and that's it. Okay? So basically you put your hand on the bed and you say activate, and it goes to work. It does not have a sleep mode, it does not have a healing mode. Okay? It's just an activation mode. Its goal is to go into every single cell of your body and flush it out and completely discharge everything that has disrupted the natural geometry of your cell, right? The natural geometry of every magnetic field that exists in your body. It's meant to flush all of that out altogether. Once it's flushed out, then it goes into charge cycle naturally, automatically. Okay? Then it starts filling you with the essence of the 5 platonic solids. Okay? So the platonic solids are actually working as the charge medium to go into your cells and start refining them so that they come out as their pure toroidal geometry. Okay? That's why it's called the Taurus bed. So it's a very different type of bed. Okay? It's It's meant to work in complement with the first bed, but it's a completely different bed altogether. Okay, and they're meant to work together. Okay, so that's what I can share in regards to the second bed, but that again is also telling about the nature of the platonic solids. Okay, so when you're working with the platonic solids, what you're doing is you're integrating that into your body, you're integrating that into your mind. Your body starts thinking in platonic solids, your body starts acting and working together in platonic solids, and that's what's helping to magnetize your energy in equilibrium, so that the natural toroidal geometry of your cells is now intact. Okay, what's happened with us is when we're eating bad food, when we have riotous living, when we're drinking our butts off, when we're smoking, when we're doing drugs, when we're eating processed foods, when we're worrying excessively, when we're sick, all of that represents complete and total degradation of our natural magnetic field. Okay, the torus bed is designed to reverse that. Okay, so basically you're going to start feeling like you don't have cravings for any more garbage food. You're going to feel a lot better. You're going to feel a lot more uplifted in that way. Now the prana bed does that as well too. This is just taking it to the magnetic field level. Okay, prana works with the prana. Torus works with the magnetic field and your natural toroidal field. That's what these two beds represent. Okay, so it does work with the platonic solids. So that's what I would suggest, is maybe put them around the room and just kind of hold your gaze forward, but you're also being aware of the peripherals. Okay, that's what they did in ancient Egypt, because the entire walls were laced all around with sacred geometry, with platonic solids. Okay, and that's what they did. They just immersed themselves into that room. What I would suggest, guys, is fill your room with platonic solids. Fill your room with sacred geometry. Okay, and just stay in there. Even if you're focusing on your computer, even if you're on a phone, even if you're reading your book, your subconscious is picking up all of those signals relating to platonic solids, sacred geometry, and that is going to greatly revitalize your body. So one of the things I'll be doing with AetherX is I'll be creating wallpaper. I'll be creating these new forms of decor that you'll be able to put up in your room, because my goal is for you to turn your entire house into a healing center. Okay, that's AetherX's long-term goal. Not only are you becoming an embodied healer yourself with the products that are going to be used through AetherX, but we're also going to have environmental products as well too. So that's also going to involve feng shui at the same time, right? So a lot of exciting things are coming down the pipe for AetherX. So our goal is really to have you as an empowered healing being, as well as turning your entire home into a healing center, right? For yourself and for others. So thank you very much for your question, Caroline. Okay, let's see here. So this one here is from Kuno Asteria. Kuno asks, can ADRONIS speak about the acceleration, high vibrations on Earth right now? Okay, I think that would be a good topic. And I think we'll probably take about one or two more questions after that. Then we're going to wrap up. Okay, because I like to try and keep these things about an hour long. Keep the newer tarot about an hour long. All right, so I'll bring ADRONIS in, and he can talk about the acceleration of high vibrations on the Earth right now. So 1 moment. We thank you very much for your question. As it relates to the idea of higher vibrations coming upon the planet Earth right now, well, it is the idea that there is a acceleration, there is a charging taking place. So basically in that sense, you could look at this as voltage. You could look at this in that sense as a strong current that is taking place upon the planet. But as people have been living in low vibratory cycles for a very, very long time, this charge that has been building itself up gradually is moving itself into its own direction. So it's really up to each human being themselves to decide, do I go with the flow of the current to where Earth herself is charging herself up, to where we are seeing great change, great acceleration of being here, or do I stay in the sluggishness of the low frequency to which I have been facing for the great majority of my life? And this is what we have been talking to many of you for years. The Earth is moving into a new orientation of being. You can either go with her or you can fall behind. We will repeat that once again. You can either go with her or you stay behind. The decision is yours. So this is exactly why the acceleration is taking place on the earth. It's happening in this way, so that when you realize that the earth herself is heating up, that the earth is charging, that the earth is moving into a higher frequency, you can tag along for the journey. But in order for that to happen, you need to let go of all the stagnant, sluggish energy that has kept you in the lower depths of an earth that no longer is, because many of you live in the past. There are very few of you who are actually able to constantly live in the present. When you're able to live in the present, you will be able to go with the earth. But many of you in that sense still get wounded by all of these particular forms of fallacies relating to agendas that you just don't feel like you can let go of. You're holding on for dear life to these states of identity that hold nothing but sabotage altogether. And the earth is saying, how about you drop all of that and you come with me just by being present, just by being here and now with me and being aware. Because that's all you have to do. This all comes down to the nature of surrender. So when you learn to surrender, you are now learning to be present. So we can call them high vibrations, but really all high vibrations represent is charge. It's a greater charge that's taking place. And this is why your planet is being charged up. Yes, she's accelerating. She's moving into a much more charged frequency. But many of you who do want to go with her are still being caught up in your past. You're living through memory. You're living through rationality. You're living through time. You see? So when you continue to live through thought, through time, through memory, through that type of rationality, you're not being present. The thoughts are now taking over you because you are assuming them as identity. You're not letting yourself become released. You're not letting yourself surrender. And being present here and now and seeing the earth for what she really is and knowing that it's your mother extending her hand to take yours. Very few of you are actually doing this because you're too caught up in your identity. You're too caught up in your pain. You're too caught up in your human agendas. You're too caught up in your human systems. You're too caught up by your emotional dwelling, by your mental dwelling on things that are only causing you to cave yourself in. You're generally just caving yourself in. You're letting the rocks fall and you're burying yourself in these caverns where you're not letting yourself progress. At any moment, you can simply swipe your hand and those rocks will be free. And you can get out of the cave, out of the cavern that you place yourselves in. So yes, it is fundamentally true. A high vibration, yes, because that only means charge. But in order for you to go with the charge, you must firstly discharge. Just as Brad was sharing with you pertaining to AetherX. That you need to discharge yourselves with everything that you feel represents your identity. Of you holding on to dear life of things that do not care about you. You care about it, it doesn't care about you. Do you ever recall a thought that cares about you? Go ahead. Think of a thought that you think cares about you. That will come into being and give you an embracing hug and will represent everything and saying, I need this thought because it's permanent, right? No. Everything that you think, you are the one that is giving it its power. Without you, there is no thought. Without you, there is no mind, because you are the divine intelligence. So you need to realize that what you're holding on to, pertaining to time, pertaining to thought, pertaining to memory, is all one and the same thing. It's all the past. You've never had anything that is called a present thought. Thought is not present. Thought is an evaluator. It's able to look at what has transpired, but it is not aware of what's transpiring. It's not aware of what's happening. Memory, again, part of thought, just representing the idea of the reflection of the past, of something that you felt has happened. Time, also representing the idea of the past representing memory, of the future representing imagination. They too take you out of the present moment. These are the three things that are holding you back: time, memory, thought. We're not saying that you cannot use them, but what we're saying is that many of you are overusing them. And you're seeing them as identity. They have become dominant within your life. And that's what's causing you to cave yourself in. You're being caved into these caverns where all the rocks are falling around you. Because you are now just living inside a bubble where through your thoughts, where through your emotions, where through your mentalities, there is nothing but sabotage. And as long as that sabotage exists, you will not be going with the earth to where she is going. It goes back similarly to what Jesus would say to the teachers of the law in that way. I am not of this world. You are of this world, but I am not of this world. You cannot go where I am going. Now, that is something that you really need to seriously consider. You cannot go where I am going because you're too caught up in this world. Exactly as Jesus said to the teachers of the law, to the Pharisees. You cannot go where I am going because you are too attached to this world. You're too attached to the things of man. You're too attached to the systems. You're too attached to your money. You're too attached to your fame and your popularity, and you're wanting to be noticed, to be praised, to be accepted by your fellow man, woman, and child, that you have become so distracted by that, you're not going to follow the earth to where she's going. This is something that you need to seriously consider, because many of you do this. You're worried about status. You're worried about popularity. You're worried about acceptance. You're worried about your vulnerabilities and your thoughts and your memories and your imagination. That you get caught in a bubble, and that bubble caves you in. And here's the earth accelerating upwards, and here you are caught inside this bubble because you're not willing to do the inner work necessary to surrender and to let go. And we will say that many of you are doing this. And if you want to truly go where the earth is going, you need to get your affairs in order. You need to learn how to surrender. You need to learn how to let go. You need to learn how to stay present a lot more. Because very few of you are actually doing this. So, you ask about the idea of the vibration of the earth moving up. Yes, she is. But the question we have for you, are you willing to do what's necessary to move up with her? Because that's very much what it takes, what we have just described. It's to live free. It's not to say you're throwing away the world. It's to say that you are seeing the world in a different viewpoint. You're seeing it from a different vantage point because you are at the summit. You're at the top of the mountain and you're looking around. It is a marriage of the higher and the lower that we are talking about here. Where it's not just the lower and you think the higher is so much mightier than you, and you're always going to see yourself in separation. Those who go with the earth have achieved this marriage of the higher and the lower, which means they are present, which means they are not getting all caught up in their dramas. They may have challenges, but they're taking those challenges and they know how to remedy them. They are working to stay much more present. They are not dwelling and drifting through thoughts and through memories and through imagination and through the idea of everything that brings them deeper into the bowels of the earth. Why not move up into the crown of the earth rather than staying down at the bowels, rather than being obsessed with time, with memory, with thought, with imagination. Like we said, it's not that those are bad things, but it's that you have enabled yourself to become conquered by them. You have been conquered by the very thing that you are able to control. And that's why you're feeling set back. This is why the importance to surrender, the importance to let go, the importance to be present, to live synchronistically with the earth, is to live by her side to where she is going. So you can go where she's going as long as you let the earth teach you. And she will teach you by being present. That's the key to move into her charge that represents the higher frequency. We thank you very much for your question. Okay. Is that ringing a bell for you guys? Okay, so that's very important. That's not just coming from me, that's coming from him as well too. That this is very, very important to keep into consideration, right? We get caught up, we get worried about all these things, past, the future, all right? What about this memory? What about this situation that happened? What about this thing with my parents? What about this thing with my family? What about this thing with my work? What about this thing with my money? What about this thing with my job? Etc. It goes on and on and on. And what you're doing is you're caving yourself in. Okay, this is something I realized years ago myself, that I'd start clinging to all these things, and the earth was so important to me. And here I was just being in this bubble, just continuing to stay stagnant because I worried about thought, memory, and time. Okay, so the key is that the more that you're present, the more that you're here and you're now, and you're working with yourself, you now have a new vantage point, and you're at summit level manifestation. I've talked about this months ago, about the nature of summit level. When you're going to summit level manifestation, when you're going to summit level perception, you see it all. Okay? That's why I'm not concerned about the things of the world, guys. It doesn't mean anything to me, right? It's fine if it's happening. It's fine if we're participating, but we know that that does not hold dominion over us. Do not be dominionized, if that's a word, relating to your thoughts, your memories, time, and imagination. Realize that it works for you. You do not work for it. And that's your liberation. Okay? Thank you very much. Good question there, Kuna. Okay. So then we're going to take one more question, guys, and we're going to wrap up. Yeah, David of Shield puts it together well. Let go of all the bells and whistles that humanity has to offer. Because that's all it is. We hear a bell ringing. We hear a whistle blowing. Huh? What? Who's that? Why did that person blow that whistle? Why was that whistle? What's your agenda? What's your agenda behind blowing that whistle? What's your agenda behind ringing that bell? Why did you bring a bell that size? Why is that bell in your hand? Why do you have a bell like that? How did you get a bell like that? Where did it come from? How do you know I got? That's what happens to us emotionally. That's what happens to us mentally, right? Spontaneous human combustion. Not of the physical body, but of the emotional and mental body. We just start questioning everything. We just start getting to the point where it gets into an overage. It's good to be curious, but again, we're putting our curiosity into overage. It's good to look into these things through kind of like the wonder of a child, but not going into the overage. Anything that's too much is never going to be a divine nature of yourself, right? We want to make sure that we're keeping in touch with that, okay? Be present, be here, work with surrender, stay in the moment. That's where your power is. All right. Okay, I think we'll end with Nancy's question here. This is from Nancy. Is all pain in the body emotion, childhood, baggage? Most of it is. Yes, this is very much like what I was creating with the video not too long ago about healing your trauma in no time, right? And when I mean no time, I'm basically just referring to the idea that everything truly is here and now. And that we are able to look at all of these traumas that have happened in childhood. Because in childhood, we don't know how to discern, right? Children themselves absorb. They absorb their environment. They absorb everything that they get. This is why they're so completely lucid with their feelings. They're able to cry at the drop of a hat. They're able to know when they're feeling despair, and they show it through themselves. They don't try to hide it. And I'm talking about little children. This is what happens with us is that we become desensitized to our own feelings. We become desensitized over time because this happened to me as a kid, because this happened to me at 5 years old, because I was scared that there was a demon in my closet. And then my dad came in and started bugging me and teasing me that there was actually a demon in the closet, and I get traumatized by that. And I have that particular trauma hanging like a low-hanging fruit for the rest of my life until I'm able to heal that trauma. Or I get sexually abused, or I get robbed of my money, or I lose my job, right? But it really just comes down into going into the roots, and it all comes to how we are treated as little kids, okay? The majority of traumas that we hold comes from our youth, okay? Doesn't mean it's going to come immediately from a 5-year-old, but it's going to come at some particular point when you are still just learning how to discern yourself. If we lack discernment, if we lack the idea of realization, that's where we become taken advantage of. It's not to say that you can't have traumas in adulthood, but those traumas start forming in regards to other bridges of your earlier point in life, right? Certainly been my case when I was growing up, right? I was very much dependent upon my mom, feeling that I was worried that she would get into a car accident if she didn't come home. If she wasn't home on time, I'd start getting worried, right? And I just started looking at all these relationships that I had when I was younger as well too. Relationship with a father, relationship with a mother, relationship with the siblings. Like I come from a family of 6. I'm the youngest of 6 children, right? So I was the youngest, and I was getting bullied a lot. I was getting taunted. I was getting ridiculed a lot. I was always being called an idiot. I was always being called stupid, right? Or Brad's an alien. I'd get that one quite a bit as well too. Here's a secret, guys. Did you know I can't bend my thumbs? Right? Here's a secret revealing of Brad. Cannot bend my thumbs. Okay? And that this has been with me since birth. And I would get made fun of that. Oh, Brad must be an alien. He must be an alien from another planet. He can't bend his thumbs. Right? So that's a defect I've had. There's really no knuckle here. No knuckle here. No knuckle here. So I cannot bend my thumbs. But that's never stopped me from living a fruitful life. Right? And I would get taunted mercilessly by my siblings regarding that. Right? I would get taunted by kids at school who they couldn't see that I was bending my thumbs. Like, how can you write properly? How can you write properly? Well, kind of like this, guys. Like that. And I can write properly. Okay? So I would get teased about that. I would get teased by the thumb defects I had. I would get teased because people thought I was slow, that I wasn't learning fast. People thought I had autism. People thought that I must have Asperger's or something like that. But that wasn't the case. Because when I actually cared about the course that I was doing in school, I was able to get a straight A. I just didn't do it because I didn't care about it. Right? So again, you get teased. So these were traumas of my past that I needed to heal up. Right? Same thing with relationships. Relationships have been a very big one with me. Right? And I had to heal that up in the past because those are things that were lingering. Those are the things that were causing heartbreak. Right? I even have like relationships when I was younger as well too, and that would cause heartbreak. So it could be around the younger child, it could be around the teenage years, it can even be around the young adult years as well too, right? But it's really in our youth because we're not discerning, we're not realizing. We let ourselves become taken advantage of. We become this sponge and we absorb everything. We completely forget to wring ourselves out, right? So these traumas remain in the body. They remain within our cells and we're living as the past self. We're not living as the present self, right? I'm still living as an 8-year-old child who's got hurt because he got yelled at for drinking the last of the milk in the fridge, right? And I got hit, I got attacked from that. Okay, that's an example. These are again the low-hanging fruit that remain upon our tree because we're not able to resolve it. So instead we lash out. Instead we get triggered, we get defensive, we act out, we become impulsive. We don't know how to listen to ourselves because we have this low-hanging fruit here, representing how we've been hurt, how we've been abused, how we've been victimized, how we've gone into addiction, how we've been abandoned. Okay? It all comes down to the traumas. Abandonment, rejection, abuse, escape, / addiction. Okay? It always comes down to that. And I know a lot of you guys have been mocked when you were kids. I certainly was. Right? I was bullied mercilessly a lot in school as well. I was bullied by my own family. So I had to go through all this stuff when I was first starting out, when I was first learning how to channel, how to talk to ADRONIS. This is the things I was always talking about, or ADRONIS was referring to me as. Said you need to let go of your past. You need to let go of all these instances that have hurt you, It's like you have these giant scars on your body, and you can heal up those scars, but you have to be willing to do so. And I was willing to do so. I said, ADRONIS, just take me through them. Take me through them, right? And I would get synchronicities that would come together in my life that would indicate that there are traumas there. Sometimes I would react to them right away and say, wait a minute, this is exactly what I asked for. I had to back myself up. I had to grab a hold of that. Okay, I see what it is now. And now I'm letting it go. Now I'm letting it release, right? So the free techniques that I've been teaching you guys over the past couple of years, starting with the BCR technique or even the EQ method and so forth, I didn't have those when I was first starting this journey. I was still trying to figure out how to purge all this stuff, right? And I did it quite commonly through meditation. I did it through breathing exercises. I did it through affirmation, right? And that was more of the longer way, okay? And then I started to do more shortcuts. And that started with light circuitry, and that started with EQ method, started with different other techniques that were a little bit quicker, but they still had quite a bit within them, right? Then I started moving into where we are now, BCR technique, cord removal healing, prana transmission technique, conflict elimination technique, okay, release ball method, okay. These are the much more quicker methods, or the shortcuts. So we start using those on a daily basis. That's what's going to propel you upwards. Okay? So that's something I want to leave you guys with. Please make sure you're checking out the playlists on my YouTube channel, because I've developed those things. They're free for you to use, and they're shortcuts once you keep using them over and over and over again. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in to the broadcast today. Really appreciate it. I'll be back tomorrow for New Earth TV Live starting at 11 a.m. Pacific time, and Saturday with AetherX live stream on the AetherX YouTube channel, which again is just down below here, youtube.com/AetherX store. Just go ahead there and feel free to subscribe if you like. And again, check out AetherX.co. New products are going to be coming on the 1st of April. So that's footwear, and that's items for pets as well too. All right. And of course, the new AetherX quilts are here as well too. So now we have quilts that are available for the beds. So that is now online through AetherX.co. Thank you guys, and I'll talk to you all tomorrow, and I'll talk to you on Saturday, and I'll talk to you on Sunday for transmissions with ADRONIS as well. Have a great rest of the day. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Namaskar, and may it be well with you. Goodbye for now. Thank you so much. The websites, newearthteachings.com, where you can do private sessions with me, and also AetherX.co. And through AetherX, you'll be able to pick up your Healing Code Cards body deck, your mind deck, and your energy deck through AetherX. You will also be able to pick up the Etherbed kit. That is also on AetherX as well. Not to mention that you'll also be able to pick up some apparel and accessories that is also available on AetherX. Thank you so much for tuning into this video, and I look forward to speaking to you in the next one. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Namaskar, and may it be well with you.